Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you are in the best of health. This is a short series about Hajj, the virtues of Hajj, the blessings of Hajj, the obligation of Hajj, what are the necessary actions in Hajj in terms of pillars and actions, the obligations, the recommended things, and the general meanings and inner dimensions of Hajj. And inshallah, I hope through this short series to just cover those essential points to help those who are going for Hajj, but also to help those who aren't going for Hajj and to give them a better understanding of this great pillar of Islam. Hajj and Umrah are both great acts which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained when He said, وَأَتِمُّوا الْحَجَّ وَالْعُمْرَةَ لِلَّهِ. You must attempt to perfect or complete Hajj and Umrah for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they are great acts of ibadah because there's so much great reward received in doing these acts. First of all, Hajj is a pillar of Islam. In the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he said, "Bunya al-Islamu ala khams," Islam is built or founded on 5 things, the 5 pillars, which he said are shahadati an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, iqam as-salah, to establish salah, ita az-zakah, to give zakah, wa hajj al-bayt wa sawmi Ramadan, to do hajj to the house, meaning the house in Mecca, and to fast Ramadan. So Hajj is an important pillar of Islam, and it's an important obligation which no doubt all the Muslims throughout time have accepted this reality of the obligation, and it's to be performed once in a lifetime. But there's so much great reward related to Hajj as well. The Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith, the 5 prayers, and Jumu'ah to Jumu'ah, and Ramadan to Ramadan, the Umrah to Umrah, they will all atone the sins that are done in between them, and there is no reward for Hajj less than Al-Jannah. And in another hadith, the one who goes to Hajj and does the Hajj correctly without doing any wrongdoing, no abuse, no commotion, no arguing, no evil practice, then he will come back like the day his mother has given birth to him, meaning free of all sin and all burden that comes with sin. Complete slate clean, that's for the sins obviously, but all the good deeds inshallah will remain for him to make use of. So Hajj is a great act. Linguistically, Hajj means to actually intend something. To do the Hajj means to intend with purpose, to intend, in this case, the house, to intend the house to do the necessary actions and the obligations there. And the Umrah means a visit, to visit, and obviously it's a form of with visiting here, there's almost like an indication of a construction that's happening because of this great visit. It's more like constructing your good deeds in attending the visitation of the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Hajj, a great deed, a great practice. It's also known as a form of jihad. A jihad which the Prophet ﷺ was asked, when he was asked by Aisha, he said, she asked him, do us women have a form of jihad? And he said, yes, you have a jihad which has no fighting in it, the Hajj and the Umrah. So this first of all indicates that there is great reward in Hajj, similar as there is a reward in jihad. Now today's societies, especially in the West today, they have tried to construe the whole meaning and understanding of the word jihad to make it almost synonymous with terrorism, and that's obviously a big misconception and a great ill actually done to a disservice to Islam and Muslims by doing this, because jihad isn't just about fighting. It's not, and certainly isn't about terrorism. Jihad is about struggle, it's about strife. And Hajj, because it has that struggle element, it has that strife, it has that element where you have to struggle against yourself, so it is a form of jihad. And it needs a person to struggle with their self, with their money, with their abilities to go on to do this great pillar and act of Islam. And in fact, today it's not so hard to get to Mecca. We have with the advancement in travels, we could get to Mecca within a day usually. But in the past, people traveled for months and sometimes even years to get to the house of Allah. So it was very much a journey of a lifetime. It was very much an act of lifetime. And in some cases, or in fact many cases, people would leave for Hajj expecting that they may not return. That's how they understood it. And so they planned for that, and hence the importance of preparation for the person to do Hajj, to make sure that they prepare within themselves, and also to prepare everything related to their family. So Hajj and Umrah are an obligation on the Muslims generally, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ لِمَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. And Allah has ordained on the people for Him that they should come, an obligation towards Him, that they should intend the house for the one who has the ability to do so, or the one who has the path to do so. And by doing this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is inviting the Muslims to really understand the importance of this great obligation. An obligation which connects people. It connects people in many ways. It connects people in terms of place. You know, this is a time where everybody from throughout the world come, they intend that central location, a central point in the world today, in the globe. It's a point where people are coming and connecting with time as well. They're connecting with history. They're walking in the same footsteps of the great prophets of the past, who also did Hajj to the house, starting from Adam alayhi salam, who was the first one to construct the house, and then later on with Nuh, and after it was demolished by the flood, and it was re-erected by Ibrahim and Ismail. And even in the hadith we hear how Allah, the Prophet ﷺ says, here I can see within sort of his picturization through time, he can say, I can see Musa standing here doing to Hajj, and there is Yunus, and so on. So it was a continuation of all the prophets going and intending that house, the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to do Hajj. So you can imagine, as you're going to Hajj, you are going and walking in the footsteps of those great people of the past. But not only that, there's so great meanings related to Hajj, which inshallah we will discover during this series that we are talking about. Things to understand about this great pillar of Islam, the meanings that come with it, the practices, the references therein, also the inner sights that come with Hajj, and the general objectives that come with Hajj as well. Now, Hajj is an obligation, but it's only obliged to those people who fulfill the conditions. Obviously, one of those most important conditions is Islam. If you're not a Muslim, you're not obliged to do Hajj, because you're obliged to do something which is much greater than Hajj, which is to enter Islam prior to that. So Islam is an important obligation, but also a person's capacity to be burdened with the rulings of Islam. And that means that a person has to be past adolescence, because anybody who is before adolescence, they are not obliged to do anything within Islam. They are recommended to do acts, but they're not obliged until they actually pass puberty. Also, a person has to be of withstanding mental capacity, meaning that they have the ability to understand the rules and the regulations that have been passed on them. So those are the necessary obligations: Islam, mental capacity, and past puberty. But obviously with Hajj, there's extra things that need to be done, and that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. There has to be that ability to do the Hajj. And the ability to do the Hajj means that you have the financial ability to pay for the expenses of going to Hajj, the accommodation in Hajj, the food, the necessary acts that come in Hajj as well. But not only that, you also have to have the financial ability to sustain and maintain those who are under your care back home, those people who you have to pay for their sustenance, your family, your children, your parents, whoever is under your care. You have to also have enough finance to leave them so that when you leave for Hajj, they have that. Now today, obviously, people go and do Hajj sometimes in a week, sometimes two, so it's not as big as a burden as before. But if you expect how some people used to go for months and years, then it does become an important concern that they have to take into account. The ulama also add in terms of this not only the ability financially but also physically, because Hajj is very much a physical ibadah. There's a lot of walking, there's staying in places which might not be very comfortable. Obviously, the travel might not be comfortable as well. And today, some of the aspects of that ability is the ability to travel, the ability to go, to sit in a chair. Some people might not have the ability to fly a plane, for example, and they can't mount or get on a car or a coach or whatever. So even though they might have the ability to move, but they might have certain issues which does not allow them to remain. And there must be also safety. The safety of that, the path, the way. If you're afraid that you go on Hajj, you're going to lose things, whether it's on the path of Hajj or whether it's back home, you fear that you will lose something, then that removes that obligation from you. An extra obligation as well, a condition as well for women as well, because women also have to ensure that they are going in a safe, either in safe company, or they have somebody with them who is gonna support them, and that also goes in the general context that there must be safety and the ability to do Hajj without any risk to life or to honor or to one's wealth, etc. So those are the necessary aspects of Hajj which make Hajj obligation, and this has just been a small introduction to Hajj, and inshallah I'll be speaking more about the other aspects of Hajj in the coming videos. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.